I'm stepping down off my soapbox now.
Yeah. One more thing before you're done, Harvey.
Yeah.
I want I want you to tell me that story about the guy that you met on the golf course that stole your food in the Navy again.
Okay. This should be in Reader's Digest. I was in the Navy and we were going to Bombay, India. And we were taking 101 Air Force over to the WWII. They took the aircraft over on an aircraft carrier. And my troop transport ship hauled the crews. So Gus Schomburger, this was in 1944. So Gus was in the Air Force, and he said he went to Bombay, India, and to go to the run, and he said, now we had been playing golf for 5 years. Gus, Stan Wojcinski, and another one of our buddies, telling all kinds of ridiculous stories and tales and over a 5-year period. This is the first time there that Gus mentioned that the service duties, except to tell me last couple of years before then that he and some of his cronies meet in Delaware for an annual reunion in the Air Force. And this one guy and Gus went into our cold storage unit, and when they deep fry chickens and cook them in the Navy, they put them in like big orange crates. No cellophane, no nothing. They deep fry them, cook them. Now they're cooked, and they put them in these crates, and they wrap the outside of the crate with plastic. So we had for dinner these chickens, roasters, already cooked. They weren't. The whole chicken was deep fried. That's the way we served them. So I was in charge of the mess hall. Me and 2 other guys. 5,000 troops. 3 times a day we fed these guys. Well, to be accurate, it's hard to figure out how much food stuff you're going to use. So we had to order all that when we went into dock before we went to Bombay, India, from San Francisco. So I was getting ready to serve dinner. No, I had been serving dinner, and we were having pork chops. Big deal, nice deal. But we ran out. And to have 5,000 guys in front of you, or not 5 because we fed half of them, had 2,500 guys, soldiers, and Air Force guys, to tell them you ran out of food. Boy, you better be careful because they'll get you at night when you're sleeping. So I said, well, have it better in the face. That's Joe was the guy in Bercy, I'll never forget it. He said, Harvey said, we better give these guys some chicken. And we got them all cooked, and there must have been a room this big in the cooler just for foods, well, just for the chicken. And we had on there, I think, as I remember, we had 58 cartons of chickens. Now, in those cartons, they must have packed 15, 20, I don't know, probably at least 20 chickens in these cartons. We went in there, and half of our chicken was gone. Okay? Chicken just disappeared. I said, what in there? So we were going to serve that for on the next menu for Thanksgiving. We only had half enough chicken. We couldn't cook anymore, so it pissed us off, 3 of us. Somebody stole the goddamn thing. We knew it had to be the goddamn Air Force, because that's all we had on there. So now, here's what happened. That all transpired, and we had no idea who did it, never did find out. Until we won number 3 hole at Alma Meadows Golf Course. And Gus was standing there drinking a pop or a beer or something. And he was talking to Stan and one of our other buddies. He says, you know, something about the service came up. Old Palmer says, he was in the Air Force and he got the lousiest food and he never had enough food. And Gus, now I was over washing my golf balls in the washer, standing beside the tee, washing them and listening to him. He was talking to us, Stan and I and Palmer. He says, you know, the biggest revenge I ever got in the service was that we were going over to Bombay, India, going to run the Burma Strip deal, and our ship ran out of pork chops, and they all love pork chops. So he said, you know what, Andy, I think was the guy's name from Washington, D.C., his buddy. He said, Andy and I stole several crates of these chickens, already cooked. And we took them down into our barracks, down to our dock. And man, he said, did we have a feast? We passed them out to everybody. Everybody got rid of the evidence because they didn't want to get caught. They threw them over the side, all the bones and stuff, through the crate and all. So they didn't get caught.
Yeah.
So we never did know who took them until, as I was washing my golf
He
ball,
said, hey, guess what, right?
Gus says, biggest revenge I ever got is Andy and I stole 15 cases of chicken.
And you just say,
And
hey,
they
guess
never did find out who did it. And I turned around and I said, what ship did you go on over to India? He said, I took the USS Mount Vernon, they called it the Black Hole of Calcutta, because we had made a trip to Calcutta previously, and they had some AP reporters on there.
Yeah.
They put those goddamn reporters down with these self. They had to eat the same thing, and those guys came out of there. Associated Press came out of there and wrote up a column in New York City Times called "The Black Hole of Calcutta."
That was
and
an
I have
Albert.
that copy, incidentally, in my books there at home.
Okay.
And they called it that because they sent them down in these holes. It was 120 degrees
They
going
said,
over
here's
the
what it's
equator.
like, right? And they said, this
And
is
these
what it's
guys
like.
were setting the ears off. It's just, and then, but as I was talking to Gus, as Gus was telling this story, I said, what ship were you on? He said, the USS Mount Vernon, the Black Hole of Calcutta. And did I get revenge? He said. I looked at him, I said, when did you go over there? And he told me, he says it was September 44. And you went where? He said, to Bombay, India. I said, well, when did you steal these chickens? He said, hell, they were all sacked out. We just went up to India and I just went up and stole the goddamn things without getting caught. I looked up at him, I looked over at him. I said, you dirty, rotten bastard. Now, Stan and Bill Palmer and was looking at me. He said, what the hell is he called? I said, you son of a bitch. I said, you stole my goddamn chickens. Put me in a real mess with the next day's menu. You son of a bitch. I said, I could hit you with this driver. And I was mad.
Yeah.
Because I was pissed at the time.
Yes.
And I remember that vividly 40 years later. This story came out, I found out who stole my chickens.